Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Anna and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. A little dramatic.
Sure. I was like, do we normally say welcome? I'm flustered.
Who are we? Well, we did switch to a different hosting platform, so we might look a little different.
So what does that mean for our listeners?
Well, good question, Hannah. It does not mean anything for our listeners.
So they can still find us
in the exact same places on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any of the other places where nobody listens to us. And then, as usual, on YouTube. That hasn't changed. But now you can also find us on Acast with our Acast player, and we can make a website for our podcast too, which we didn't have before. So yeah, we'll see. We like it so far, I guess. We're just trying to try something different, you know. If anybody that listens has their own podcast and would like to be a guest on ours or switch, yeah, we would be totally
hit us up,
open to that. I did want to say I was very emotional last night because I watched the movie Dark Waters. Did you watch that one?
Is that a horror movie?
No, it does sound kind of like it.
One.
It's with the one with Mark Ruffalo about the DuPont Teflon. It's like based on a true story. Okay, well, quick synopsis. It was where DuPont made this compound that is an unbreakable compound, and they used it on Teflon as the coating, or on toys or on carpets. So it was really durable, and turns out it was making people sick. It was toxic. So they knowingly dumped all the waste into landfill, basically anywhere they could, and it polluted a water system. And basically all of us probably have this compound in us, which is terrifying. And then Mark Ruffalo was this civil lawyer, and then he ended up continuously fighting this case. And then in the end, DuPont finally ended up settling for billions and billions of dollars. But these types of things make me so emotional because it's with the dope sick and everything, right, with Purdue Pharma, or just any of those or Spotlight about the priests and stuff. The injustice, the deceitfulness, the disgusting, sneaky behavior.
I know, or in all the stuff we don't know about.
I know.
And then, it gets oh, that's just a conspiracy. Well, it's well, all this stuff happens.
I know. And I was so in my head about it because Mark Ruffalo has this little monologue kind of towards the end, and he's this is this corporate company. They have billions and billions of dollars. They can just pay off different people. We think that we have this control, and we don't have control. It's it's the corporate greed. It's all this stuff that has so much power. And it was really just getting me in my feels. And there's, you said, there's so many things I don't even want to know.
I know, literally don't want to know.
But how terrifying that in all those examples that I said of those movies, it was humans knowingly doing something to other humans that is hurtful, but they did it because of their own greed, in whatever way greed was showing its face, but because of greed. And I'm just the human race is so flawed.
I know, it's so evil. Well, and it's because you don't have to think about the personal part of
it.
Right,
because you're so big, you don't have to.
Well.
I know, and it made me think about everything with Diddy too, and Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly, where those were things where people were oh, it's conspiracy theory, we don't know, there's no way that's true. Well, there was no way these other things were true. They sounded too outlandish, and lo and behold, they were real.
I know, and just because you have little voices and irrelevancy, it's like it doesn't matter. Like they know they can just get away with different things like that because it's like, oh, you're gonna listen to random Joe Schmo.
I know. Like it's just so wrong. Like
I know.
it's so awful. And I mean, with everything, like it started with like one person that was just, they had enough and they kept being that squeaky wheel basically, and then they gained enough traction with other people. And
I know.
then
that does make me, it's like, because you always think like, well, there's no point. You know, it's like how many times have people had like even just like a minor thing happen from like a same person.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just think, oh, no one's gonna do anything. But then it really does when you hear other people come out. It's like, no, we can fight this. And it's just like crazy to think that that can actually happen because we always think it won't.
I know.
You know, and it's like, you know, I feel like maybe we've gotten a little too
with some
it,
things,
but then it's like, but then stuff has changed
because of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cool thing. It's like, no, I don't have to be voiceless, but it's crazy too how much time you have to dedicate.
I know
how long you have to talk about it and keep bringing. You know, it's like, not to bring up Aubrey O'Day again, but it's like, how long has she been saying this, and she's never kept quiet about it, and yet we're like. Finally, it took more and more people to like come out and him for actually get in trouble, like legal trouble for people to like listen.
I know. And with like Dark Waters, it started with this farmer, who he knew like the grandma of Mark Ruffalo's character, and he like went to his office, and Mark Ruffalo was like, I'm not that kind of lawyer, like I don't know what you want me to do, and he was just that squeaky wheel. And then, you know, things he ended up dying like of cancer, I think, from which was so sad. But the whole thing took it was almost like 20 years, I think, by the time that people got their payouts from when he first went into his office. I mean, that's insane.
I know, it's insane. And it sucks that, I mean, with like the justice system and stuff, it's like it is tough because you can't just be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna believe you, bye, you know, or whatever. And it's like such a long process, but it's like that process like destroys people with how hard you have to try, how much money you have to try and get and spend, and you're almost like, forget it. And then you take a settlement, and then you're quiet. Then you just
you're
be quiet.
silenced. I know.
And it's like, well, at this point, I can't lose any more money or funds or whatever.
I had to give up. Yeah, I think this movie did a good job of showcasing that too, because the offices that Mark Ruffalo worked for kept like giving him pay cuts because this was taking so long and costing them so much money, and he was so stressed out. And then he ended up actually having health issues brought on by the stress of his job, and trying to support his family with like getting less and less pay. And he's like, I know, but if we could just hang on, hang on. And then thank goodness they did, because
it did end up paying off. I know, it's wild.
But that's so hard too, because I mean, with anything like this where you're like the little guy in an unjust situation, it's like how long do you stick it out for?
I know.
Like you don't know how long something's going to take, and that's scary.
It is scary.
Or even like, you know, you mentioned like Aubrey O'Day. It's like, it's kind of painful too.
I know, and
to
it's
keep
like,
talking about it.
I know. It's just, it's so crazy and like just so sad.
I know, but yeah.
Mark, just speaking of him, he's such a good actor.
Oh, I mean, I have the biggest crush on Mark.
He's so handsome.
He's so handsome, and he is so good.
He's just a great actor.
He did an interview with Smartless, and he was so just like, he seems like such a genuine guy.
I know, he seems so like nice. He doesn't seem like he gets real like angry.
No, or really into the Hollywood stuff either. And I like how the movies that he does, I mean, some are obviously just like fun or whatever.
Right.
But like he was in Spotlight too, and then the Stark Waters. It's like very purposeful, and he's trying to bring awareness to things. And then the movies are so well done because it feels like everybody involved really cared about what they were trying to say. And I just like that.
I know. And he lives like just like this quietish life.
Yeah, we don't know much about.
No, it's like there he is on the red carpet, and then you maybe occasionally see him walking around.
Yeah, you kind of forget because he has a couple kids, but you don't really know
just
anything about him.
What a great, like that just seems like the best kind of
best
career.
of both worlds.
Where you get like the fame and you get to do the acting and stuff, but then you get to live like the quiet life.
I know. And especially since he got like the big blockbuster fame with the Marvel movies, but like he kind of still was able to step away from that too. And he didn't get typecast. Like he really hasn't been typecast at all.
No, he does all kinds of stuff.
I know. Yeah, I love Mark Ruffalo.
No, I wonder what like his first movie was, because I just feel like he's always like existed.
I know, me too.
Loves it.
Yeah. Anyway, just went on a little tangent about Mark Ruffalo.
Well, he's fabulous as far as we know.
I know, please, God, don't let anything come out.
Just stop. Yeah. I can't handle it anymore.
We can't take it.
But it is like, just speaking on that, is anyone in Hollywood like a decent person? Like,
I don't know.
It's just like I don't know. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening.
I know with
here.
the whole Diddy thing. I know. Well, I don't think it's fair that they keep just showing pictures of like the white parties. It's like that doesn't mean anything.
I know, like of course you're gonna go to the big Diddy party.
Yeah, because that doesn't mean you were wanted to go.
Right. It's like, and then maybe you went and you saw some crazy things, and then you didn't go back. You know, like I don't think.
Or I heard. I heard a couple different things. The first thing I heard was that maybe this is the way it is now, but there's actually like 2 different parties where it's like, well, or maybe this is, who's the guy that has it now? Isn't he like a sports guy or something?
I don't remember. I just know he's that
in the Hamptons.
Yeah, it's like this rich guy.
Yeah, he's super rich. But it might be his party too, but there's like the outdoor party that's like almost like general admission. Right. Not really, but like, and then the elite party that takes a different invite is actually the indoor party. And then with Diddy's, I heard that it was like, all fun white party. And then after midnight is when the real crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
I know.
But it is like wild now when so many things were probably hidden in plain sight. But like, did you see the clips from Ashton Kutcher's Hot Ones? It's like, what were you remembering?
I know. I'm like, what is happening? I know. And then it was like, that whole thing with that one girl that passed away, and then
Kim Porter.
No, the one with Ashton Kutcher where he was going on that date.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, her. Yeah. My gosh, and stuff, and how like that one girl came out and was like, "Yeah, I'm talking about dog," which I'm repping him today.
Looks exactly like him.
His hair's never been that pretty.
He's like literally never looked like that.
But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway,
the girl,
that girl. Oh, that one girl that I think, did she come out like anonymously or something? Was like, yeah, it was one of Danny Masterson's victims.
Oh yeah,
and she was like, yeah, I'm talking about that night, and we're like, oh no, like maybe he was like kind of I don't know, but then like he does all that.
I know, he just went to to speak in front of whatever Congress or whatever about the you know, like laws for children and everything. I just don't know. I mean, it's
Is
just
it a facade, like, or in like,
or is he trying to overcompensate?
or maybe when he had kids, it did change his perspective on things. But I mean, my gosh, why was he like so nervous?
And I mean, okay, I could see too where maybe it is like an innocent thing. Maybe it was just like a crazy orgy or something, and it wasn't necessarily the sick, disgusting stuff, like freak offs. You know, like maybe it was just wild,
right? But it's like we keep hearing these little rumblings about like him, and it's like the company you keep, kind of.
I know. That's what's, and then the things where like Justin Bieber's was like really uncomfortable in old videos. It's like, what did he see?
I know.
Like, I'm so
when he was having
horrified.
Like, I know, like when him and Hailey first were like married, and he kept having those like
breakdowns.
meltdowns.
I know.
Like, well, no wonder. And I know he's never gonna talk about it.
I know he never. Maybe when he's like older, 55, he'll write a memoir. Like, please, God.
I know. But then like I think I snapped you that or whatever. But it's like, let's also like leave him alone.
I know. I don't think it's fair.
I know, to be like, because what if he truly is a victim? It's
he
like,
probably is.
So it's like, why are you shoving this in his face? And like,
I mean, if he is, that would explain
a lot.
So much. Then, you know what? There's a lot of people who are going to feel pretty bad because of what they said about him and all this
his
stuff.
Wife.
Yes. It's like
his ex.
Yeah. I mean, it does make me wonder, though, you know, not to bring everything comes back to J-Lo, but it's like, she has to know stuff.
Something.
You know?
I know. It's like, how accountable are we going to try to hold some of these people?
And what I think we snapped about it, like with J-Lo too. I mean, he always was kind of like very powerful.
Right.
So whose career has he impacted? I mean, very much like Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
Like, we'll never probably even know
what actually. Yeah. Like, we'll never get that information. Yeah. And it's just, ooh.
It's like so terrifying, obviously, because of how horrific things sound, but also just terrifying that something like that could go basically not talked about for so long. And like, when it was talked about, it wasn't believed because
they're crazy bimbos talking about it, or they're passed away.
Yeah. Or then the people who would maybe want to talk about it are scared to talk about it. They're blackmailed because he has everything on video.
I know. And like some of the stuff we talked about too with crazy Kanye. I was just reading that today, some of the comments that he had made about Diddy. I'm like, you know what? And he's been saying like
for
other stuff.
While,
very recently, but it's like he was for a long time.
Yeah, quite a few years.
Talking about just all this different stuff. And
well, and you know, this is kind of like a complete like conspiracy theory, but it does make you wonder.
Is it?
I know. Is anything? It does make you wonder with Kanye, like, he had a full breakdown and then was diagnosed as bipolar, and now says that he's not, but he probably is. And it's like, but his meltdown was very public, and could it have been because of so many things that he knew?
Right. Or like experienced? Was he blackmailed at some point and had something happen to him?
I know, like we don't know.
Right.
It just makes you look at things differently.
It does. Like, maybe we should stop. Just because people are saying things that we don't necessarily agree with doesn't mean that they're not going through something.
Yeah, or that they're not being truthful.
Right. And it's like everybody got mad at him because he was like supporting Trump. And it's like, it was like they just took away from you know, somebody who is obviously mentally
Yeah.
not
Oh,
doing
for
well,
sure,
but
yeah.
then they're like, well, whatever, because we don't like you anymore because you were supported
this person.
Right.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it wasn't fair because he obviously was going through a tough mental time. we don't really know if he got the help he needed, but yeah, it just, all of this is just making me really,
I know,
question
side-eyeing everybody.
Yeah. And like, remember the Pizzagate thing too? It's like, that seemed insane.
But like, maybe it is. And like, I think I was snapping to you too. It's like, maybe it wasn't blood sacrificing babies.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the rest of it wasn't
that there wasn't
true.
Something going on. Yeah.
Right. And if it can happen, you know, like kind of in a like a low or like a small scale, like even with like a priest, why couldn't it be happening with like government officials?
Yeah. I mean, look at how much, like, even just with like prostitution and stuff,
right?
Like within government, like within Washington, they had their own like ring of girls that were fully available to, you know, anybody who was involved in politics.
Right.
Like that was a, like, what type of secret do they call that?
Like a covert secret?
Yeah, kind of.
Like
I can't think of the term, but like a known secret, I guess, within that community.
Right.
Like, but it was kept so tight,
right,
that if you heard any whisperings about it outside of it, you're like, oh my God, no way.
No, they're not doing it.
But
not
they were
political.
Yeah,
I know. I know.
And just when there's also so many people in Hollywood, from like, you know, not only just celebrities, directors, producers, assistant producers,
managers,
managers, the talent agencies as a whole, the freaking craft services, like makeup artists. There's so many people involved, that like it is such a huge community, but like people do not talk, you know what I mean? Like,
or in like even in like Emily Ratajkowski's book, it was like, she's like, oh no, this is just what you know, people would be like, no, this is just what you do,
right?
And it's like, what?
Yeah,
like, this is normal.
I know. And like Heather McDonald, who I would say that she's like in it more than a lot of other people are. I mean, she was, about the Diddy stuff, was saying like, yeah, like people don't talk. They don't speak up in Hollywood. And that's the problem.
And it's like probably because they are getting like blackmailed. Yeah. Or what they do to them.
Right.
It's just insane. Or even like the way they lock these like young artists in these like weird crazy limbo contracts. Yeah, and it's like they're just in limbo for 7 years. Like that's insane.
I know.
And they just like kind of give them like enough money to get by, and they're still making music, but they're not releasing it at all. Like it's just insane.
I know. It's so scary to think about. Like, and I want to know all the details, but I'm also horrified. Yeah, because it sounds so bad.
Insane. Like almost unbelievable.
Yeah. But
we'll see what ends up.
I know. We'll see. It's wild.
Just changing up gears.
Please.
I was playing Sims 4.
I went through a Sims phase.
I know. Recently. Well, I love watching the videos, and then finally we had like gotten a new laptop, and I was like, "Can you just like put it on for me?" And then I did, and I made myself.
Are you making it like your real family?
No. Okay. But I'm like, I'm just gonna make myself. And then and then I got like a little house.
Nice.
And now I've redid it. But I only have like the base game, so I don't have any of the kits or anything yet. I'm only allowed to play on weekends.
That's the thing.
I know. I'm like, because for a long time, I'm like, no, I can't play because then I'll just neglect my children.
I know, because you get obsessed with it.
I know. And then it was like, then that was when me and my stepsister used to play. We both had like a laptop and we would play Sims 2. And we just sit next to each other and like are playing the game.
I
know. So I was like, well, I remember we would do that for so long. But then I'm like, but I've been doing not too bad of like being on there. But it's like you get obsessed. You're like, I have to fix this house.
I know.
Like I can't just be in, especially because you watch so many of the like videos where it's like
people playing it.
Yeah, and they're like make these big beautiful creations, and I'm like, she can't live in this dingy house. And
did you do the cheat code for the money?
Not yet. No, she does a pretty good job. I mean, she's an astronaut.
Oh, good hours.
She just got a promotion. But it's funny. And then I was like trying to get her, because I kind of want her to have a romantic partner, but I'm just not ready for her to have a kid yet. And then I'm
understandable.
Like, and she keeps getting like creeped out by the one guy, and because she made like 2 friends. Well, I think she just made another one, and she's like really close with the girl, and then it's like, you can make it romantic if you want. And I'm like, maybe that's what she wants.
Yeah, maybe.
And then they can have a science baby now, and you can still adopt.
Well, the only thing is that those Sims move pretty fast. So once you get in a relationship, it's like they're asking for the baby.
I know, and then it's like literally proposed to move in.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like,
whoa.
we're not ready.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I want someone living with her yet.
Yeah.
And I want to make an upstairs because right now there's only one bedroom. But then I kind of wanted to move her, but it's like, it's just so intense. But I was listening to like Sims News, and they are for sure doing a movie.
I just don't know what that will be.
That could either be the funniest movie ever or horror. I know.
The lamest.
I'm like, the easy way would be like, oh, they realize they're being controlled,
Yeah.
Like that could be funny, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, are they going to go the Barbie movie route where it's like got some heart to it?
I almost feel like they shouldn't do that.
I know. Like they're going to have to switch it up. Like they need to do like maybe a full blown comedy.
Yeah.
But I could also totally see them being like, have this sim, and then he or she's like just living their life, and all of a sudden they're like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's probably going to be the route. And another news, they're not doing Sims 5.
They're not?
No, and Sims 4 has been out for 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
So they're going to do these like big update things. And they're going to try to do open world, but they have tried to do.
Interesting.
Yes, they've tried to do that before and couldn't get it to work, but it seems like they're trying again.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of wild, especially because so many people complain about like the base game for Sims 4 that it glitches a lot, but only time will tell.
I read a book tomorrow, and it was about like gaming, which
I'm on the wait list for that one, but I keep delaying it.
It was really good. Yeah,
I heard it was good.
Yeah, that would be interesting as an audiobook too. But it was, it's well worth it. It was a really good one. But anyway, it's about these people who are like, they end up becoming game developers, and they have like huge success with this one game, and then it's like, do we do sequels? Do we make a third? That trope. And then the one thing was, this new game they made, they ended up doing the open world, which was super successful, but that was a whole like different thing. Right. And then having it be like, okay, wherever you are, like that's the time it is in this place. And like the idea of that is so wild to
I know.
me.
And like, I always think about too, like if you do, because like right now for me, when you start doing like the open world stuff, like, because right now I can kind of like disconnect, like it's just me playing, it's just these characters. But if you like it'd be so easy to like have this whole other life.
I know.
Online, and like, why, if you're getting like your social interaction and everything through the game and like, emotional fulfillment, like why would you need to leave the house?
I know.
So it's like, I don't know. Maybe the movie could kind of be like that too. I don't know.
I know. It's just interesting because, like with Barbie, we kind of had somewhat of a backstory,
Right.
you know, like of what Barbie is or how she was created. But with Sims, I mean, there's no like rule book really.
Right.
Or
And
no,
it's like some of the, because it's like, well, could they do too, like, they're like, I can't remember what they call them. Just like the characters that they already have sometimes kind of have like a little bit of backstory as far as that, but it's like, are they going to base it off of like the Goth family or like, or is it just going to be some other sim?
And even if it is, there's not deep backstories with
and
Sims
it's like,
anyway.
I know, and that's kind of like the fun of Sims, like they're kind of elusive. Like you get to make the story.
You're choosing everything.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be interested. And I also, I mean, that definitely won't be one that I go to the theater to see because I just don't. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Maybe once the trailer comes out.
Yeah, I want to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Winnie. Yeah, we'll see what they do with it. And I don't think they said like because they put out this like announcement thing, and I don't think they said like a year, but maybe they did and I missed it. But we'll see.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting.
It sure will.
What direction will they go?
I know. I don't know how you could go. It's like the only thing I can literally think is like the Barbie way, where it's like everything's great, and then oh no.
But I guess they did like a Lego movie. I mean, I know that was for kids, but they just made up a story for that. So
I know, and it works so good. I freaking love that movie.
Yeah, I suppose they could do it for Sims too. But then, will it be animated or live action?
Right. I know. It will. I'm guessing live action.
That's what I'm guessing too.
But the speaking of that, the Minecraft movie that's coming out is like, why would you not just make the whole movie like you're playing the game and like maybe crisp up the like stuff a little more? But why are you having Jack Black play Steve? And I'll probably end up taking my son to see it.
Oh yeah, because he loves it.
It's Minecraft,
but do you think that he'll love it the same?
I don't know, because he doesn't even really like live action movies that much, and they have like the people in there. I know, but and it comes out right around his birthday too. So it's like, I feel like we have to go take him. But I know, I'm like, I don't know. Why would you go that way? But maybe it'll end up being good.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, you went and saw The Substance.
Oh my God. I want to go see it again. I'm not even kidding. It was so good.
I saw that you followed Demi Moore on our Insta too.
I know, I'm obsessed.
You're Demi Moore coded now.
Even though I hated her book.
I know. She has had a rebrand.
I was worried about her. Well, yeah, and I think that, I mean, whatever. But yeah, no, it was so good. And she did so good in it. I mean, she just like went there. I don't even want to give anything away. It's like,
well, I mean, I could tell from the preview that she definitely committed.
She freaking goes there, and I mean, she just did so good. And like I was saying to you, I'm like, it's so meta.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder who they wrote this for or if anybody turned it down.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And Margaret Qualley did good too.
She's in a lot of interesting movies.
She is. She's like getting the work. And she's like bearing it all and just going for it. I'm like, well, good for her.
I know. Showing some range.
She is. Yeah.
I think I saw a post where someone was like, if you wait for this to come out on streaming, you're gonna be so disappointed. Like, you need to see it in the theater. I know. Well, me and my husband went, and it was because it emphasized so much on like sound and like textures of sound
some of it was so loud.
Really?
Yeah, that we were like, whoa, like this is almost too loud.
Too much.
But it had to be so you could hear all of, like the,
yeah.
like it
the
was
little
just
things.
so.
Did were there people there when you went?
No, we were the only ones in there.
Oh my god!
Oh, and when we were getting our because we went like bright and early, and we didn't even get popcorn, which is crazy. That my husband, I know, I'm like, I just had breakfast. But when we came in, and I don't know, my husband always has to talk to people, and he was talking to the lady, and I don't remember what he said. And then she's like, well, I think she took our IDs.
Oh.
Checked our IDs, and then he's like, oh.
You're like,
thank you. I am just a teen. I am just a teen. But she goes, well, no. She goes, I think this should be rated X. And we were like, what? I am kind of
what do you think?
I know, I was kind of surprised that this was in like mainstream intense theater, but it was like, because there's nudity in it, but it wasn't
bad.
Yeah, it wasn't like in a sexual situation.
Yeah, I think that's usually when the X rating comes
when
too.
it gets like that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it was like, oh, and just like that. And there's like this part at like,
don't give anything.
No, I know. I'm
Okay.
just saying that at that, because it's a long movie, and me and my husband were like, okay, this was like wild, you know, but we're like, because at first we're like, maybe if the rest of the movie wasn't so long, because this part is like really long. And I'm like, maybe that wouldn't have felt as long. But the more I kept thinking about it, I'm like, no, it all needed in there. Like, you should not have cut any of that. Like, it was so
oh my god,
crazy. And just
I have to see
you
it.
do. Like I said, I will literally, unfortunately, this week is not the week to go.
Yeah.
But I would literally love.
basically
I know, but it's just. But
I wonder how long it'll be in theater for.
I don't know, because this is only week 1.
That's true. Yeah, so we definitely. I
We
would say
could
we'd have
still
like 2
go.
more weeks. Probably.
Yeah. So we could do a weeknight one too.
Yeah.
Just a different one, or maybe like a next Friday. Oh, never mind. That's like that wedding thing. Because I was gonna say like a next Friday, or we could go bright and early.
We're like, well, actually, our
So
entire
busy.
month of October is booked.
So we will have to do during the week and like maybe go see it. Because it was so, I want to rewatch it no matter what. Like,
yeah.
it was so good. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. I probably could have gave it 5 though. Like, it was so, like, I'm not kidding you. It was so.
Okay, so now it obviously is a movie that's like kind of boundary pushing.
Mhm.
Like, from when I saw that same type of cinema that's like making you feel kind of uncomfortable, but you really liked this, whereas our last conversation about like the Yorgos movies,
Mhm.
neither of us really were super fans of that. So what do you think? Now I'm just like interviewing you. what do you think is different?
Okay. Okay, first of all, I think this movie is so relevant now.
Okay, yeah, it
which
does
I
seem like
really
that.
love. But also, it's a tale as old as time, though, because or old actor gets replaced by a new one. She doesn't get the thing anymore, and like, you know, it's like the substance is like an injectable.
Mhm.
So I just think that was cool, and then just like all the other characters, the way. It's like Dennis Quaid is in it, and his character is just so perfectly like awful.
I think that's an interesting casting too.
It is. I know, because I tried not to look anything up, and then when he showed up, I'm like, that's what's his name. And the way I feel like this doesn't give away the way it was like zoomed in on his face.
Yeah, that was in the trailer.
Okay, and like his teeth are like gross, and his skin isn't that great. That he has the audacity to speak to the woman like, and just like the way Demi Moore's character, like just that desperation.
Yeah. that we feel from so many.
And even if you're not like an actress or a celebrity, just I feel like a lot of women could relate to this. And even some of the stuff that was like a little, because like Margaret Qualley's character is like, you know, the young thing. There are some like uncomfortable parts where we're like getting, I just don't. It's like, I just want to like say stuff without saying stuff, but there's just parts with her too where it's like, oh God, like just you can feel the just awfulness of what that feels like to be like your body to be like examined. And I mean, like there's like I laughed a lot in it, and then by the time you get to the end, I mean I was clapped. Oh my God. This part, I'm like, yes. Yes. Like it was so good. And like my husband liked it, but I had to like kind of explain.
Yeah, he
like,
didn't get it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's like cool to hear like a girl's perspective on it. And I'm like, yeah, I because I didn't look up that much of it, like I don't think that would have been the movie I would have wanted to like go with him too. But I mean, it was fine. Yeah, like we still enjoyed it and stuff, but it was like.
So how did you hear about it? Because like I literally didn't hear anything.
I saw something on Letterboxd, and I don't know if it was. I can't remember how I saw it on Letterboxd, and I was like, "What's this?" I don't know if it was on one of my people that I follows like to watch list or what. And then there weren't any ratings yet, but it was on there, and I'm like, "What is this?" Yeah. And then it just like then I saw something else about it because I wasn't sure if it was going to be something that we were going to like be able to see like mainstream. And then I'm like, "Oh, we are," and then I'm like, "Oh, I gotta see this."
Because I think I saw, well, after you mentioned it, I looked it up right away, and then I watched the trailer, and then after I had watched the trailer, I think just on my phone, it's like, oh, and then I saw like another, I think, ad for it, maybe on Instagram. Yeah, it started
to get a little bit more. But
yeah, I mean, that's one of those crazy things that we didn't really hear very much about.
Not at all. Yeah, because I didn't know she was acting.
Me either.
Oh, gosh, but...
Why? Okay, we definitely have to see it. I can't wait.
So good.
Well, this is like the movie, like, half hour, because I had another thing to say.
Maybe we should just change the podcast to a movie podcast. Maybe that'll get people...
I know.
Well, because that's what's so good about, like, if a movie is good, it gets you talking about all kinds of different things.
Yeah, I mean, that's personally what I enjoy about our podcast is because we, even if it's like a stupid reality show, like we find other things to relate it to and talk about. Yeah, and it generates conversation. But yeah, I mean, maybe we could do like once a month we do a full movie episode or once a week, or no, wait, our podcast is once a week. I'm just thinking in the future when this is our full-time job and we can do like 3 episodes.
I know, and we wouldn't have to do just horror movies. We could do all different, like any kind of movie we wanted to watch.
God, that would be great. And then our job would just be like to watch movies.
That literally, when those freaking YouTubers I watch that do the movie, I'm like,
I know, I wish.
Why aren't we doing that? Like, we could do a go watch with me, and then you get back in the car and debrief about it. But we could literally do a whole episode on the substance. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Okay, well, after I watch it, then we can fully talk about it. And that can be a whole episode for sure. But what I was going to say, this is like pivoting about movies, but not in the same genre as the substance. But so did you hear about the Prince movie that they have? That's supposed to be coming out?
Hear about that, yes.
Well, apparently his estate is trying to block it. And I heard that it's like absurd, like 6 hours or something crazy. And they were going to break it up into like kind of a series of like 2-hour things. But I guess there's things that maybe don't paint Prince in the best light, which like... I'm not a huge like major Prince fan, but for me not being like a uber fan, I knew that there were undertones
Right.
of things that maybe were a little dark.
Right.
You know, I think that was obvious.
That's what's like, just with like the Menendez brothers thing coming out, and like that Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee thing. It's like you want to tell these people's like stories, but you can't without being salacious.
I know.
And it's like, but then it's like, so do you make a movie about Prince where he's just donating to charities?
Right.
It's like, it's not real. Right.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has bad parts of
I
them
know.
or bad moments in their life.
Well, and that's...
So it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. And like, I get where the estate is coming from, because they're obviously trying to protect this image. I totally understand that. But it made me think of like the Rocket Man, like the Elton John movie, which I know that he was very involved in.
Right.
But I mean, I thought that there were parts in that didn't make him look very good. And it didn't change my opinion on Elton John or like, I mean, you know, this is going to be extremely controversial, but with Michael Jackson too, it's like there's obviously a lot of darkness there, but we've been able as a society as a whole to separate kind of the man from the artist. Right,
because it's like at the end of the day, they're so successful because they're so talented.
Right.
So it's like, how are you supposed to not acknowledge that? But then...
So I guess
it's
like
tricky.
I kind of just felt, and then I mean, I know that there's been many other examples with like movies from bands or singers and stuff, but it's like I think that blocking kind of the truth, or even just like a version of the truth from coming out, even if it kind of gets into some murky waters, is a mistake, because like with Prince, I mean, he was such a, like, I think an enigma is like the perfect word for him, because he had so many different facets, and it was like kind of the gender bending, and like before that was even really a thing that was accepted. And I mean, I just think that a lot of that stuff also came through in his music, and it would honestly be helpful or beneficial to hear more of the background, and it would probably give people more of an appreciation. Like, I don't think that there's anything that could come out unless it was like, you know, he had freaking women locked in his basement. I don't think that anything's gonna change people's minds,
or that we don't already kind of like know. I know. I don't know what it's like. Okay, so do we just not do biopics anymore? Is that's because,
or do we have them so censored
that they're boring?
Yeah,
I know, because like if somebody was making a movie about your life, like I wouldn't want them to put that time I did that bad thing, or like looked stupid or an embarrassing moment. But I don't
like, or you know, I mean, if we just think about our own lives that haven't been like nearly as eventful as these people, but like there's traumatic things that happen, but if we were making a movie about our lives and didn't include those things, it wouldn't really make sense to who we are today, you know? So how do you navigate that out?
I know. And then it's like, sometimes when these people make these things, they're like a little too biased, or like pushing a certain narrative.
And then you can tell.
And it's like, okay, well now I'm not enjoying it because I just think you're either hate this person or you're like the biggest fan.
I know.
That doesn't want them to look bad.
Yeah, and it's just not genuine. I just can't. He's like falling all over the place. He's just like getting antsy. Hannah's angel dog that doesn't have any separation anxiety at all. Some of you might remember this story
about where he tried to
off himself
because we went on vacation.
Anyway,
I know it is. I don't know. It's such a murky.
I know. I'm interested. Well, then, because I heard about that on The Town, and the woman, I don't remember what her name was or like what her title. I think she was She worked for like a magazine or something because she had kind of written an article about this. But she actually did watch it. But it's, you know, she obviously got the screener. And she said, people need to see this. Like, I think it would actually re-energize Prince as an artist.
Right.
And I mean, that's a good point. But at the same time, I understand where the estate is coming from. It's just fearful of,
like, what's this gonna
damage.
do?
Yeah.
And again, like, oh, we're all gonna lose money.
Right. Yeah.
Even though we're like kind of mooching off of this.
Someone that's dead.
Yeah. Like, okay, well, you know what? Now I just changed my mind. Put that movie out.
I know.
They deserve nothing.
I know.
It's tricky.
Literally, basically everything I have is about
I know.
movie.
Well, I watched The Deep House, and I didn't. It was a really cool concept. It was like basically like this YouTuber who like travels and explores like abandoned thing.
Yeah.
And they meet up with this guy, and he's like, well, there's this house that's under water because there's this big flood, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to go down there, blah, blah, blah. It was a really cool idea. It just didn't work because it was like kind of found footage, but not. And I think it would have been better off found footage. I think that would have been scarier.
Yeah, though that's a tricky thing.
I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Camille
Alves?
Rowe.
Oh.
Harry Styles' ex-girlfriend. I had no idea she was in it. And when she started talking, I was like, is that her? And then I'm looking at her, I'm like, that's her.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I just wanted to say I saw her in a movie.
That's
in her precious little voice.
Well, I never even your phone's right there. I never blending in. I've never even heard of that movie.
I saw, what did I see it on? I think my what did I see that on? Somebody brought it up and then I looked on. Oh, maybe this one podcast. No, I think I saw that after they.
Let me guess. It was on Prime.
It was. On Prime. It wasn't very good.
Okay.
And like I said, it had a good concept.
But just not well executed.
No. But, and I mean, that's just such an ambitious concept. Like, yeah. So ambitious.
Yeah. But, when that's not well done, I mean, it really isn't well done.
I didn't have much to say other than I wanted to see it. But
you saw it.
I know we've talked about this a couple times, like watching things from an adult perspective. And I watched The Babadook again.
Yeah.
Did you watch it the first time?
I don't know if I did.
I didn't like it. I thought it was like, Babadook.
I don't think I did.
Okay, well, it's like, I watched it 10 years later.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a mom, and I was crying.
Really?
Because it's like,
I don't know if that was the desired of emotion.
It might have been, though.
Really?
Now that I'm like, so basically when she was pregnant with her son, she gets in a car accident, the husband passes away. And so she's a single mom. And her son is like scared, has a lot of anxiety, doesn't sleep. I was like, what? So then she like starts to kind of like, it's like he comes in her bed and she's not sleeping. And then he gets like in trouble at school, which my son doesn't get in trouble
at school.
Angel at school. And she... like she kind of like she's not getting any rest. So she starts losing her patience with her son.
Yeah.
And like she'll get mad at him and then they get this book gets sent to them and it's The Babadook. And she's like, oh, let's read it. And then it's like evil language. And she's like, we won't do that. But then her son keeps bringing up The Babadook. And she's like, there's no Babadook. Like she's losing her mind. And then she eventually kind of like gets possessed kind of by this Babadook, but like it wants her to hurt things. So she's like going crazy.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it like, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, it like tries to take her son. And then she's like,
she has to overcome.
Yeah, she's like, no, you can't have him. And it's like after she was like so mad at him all the time and was like resentful of him, she loved him, even though he was really difficult. It was like, no, you can have him. But then at the end, which I thought was really cool, she like, you know, like, oh, and there's this one part where the son, he was probably, I can't remember how old he was, maybe like 7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He like gets her because she's possessed, and he like ties her down or whatever, and he's like, he's like, we always said we were going to protect each other, and he's like, you're not my mom right now. He's like, I'm going to help my mom. And it was just so cute.
That's adorable.
I know. And it was like he was acknowledging that like this thing was like taking over, but then at the end she like, you know, banishes it, and it goes into the basement, and she like goes down, she's like, you know, don't go in the basement, son, and she goes down to like feed the Babadook, which sounds stupid, but it's like, and it tries to like take her again, and she's like, no, but it's like a whole like metaphor for like her trauma and her grief, and it's like, it's always there, but
you can't fully get rid of it, but you can like
overcome
it
and stuff. And it was like her and her son like got along again. But I'm like, man, this was like when a horror movie has that like emotion, it's just such a good.
I know, but when you're younger,
you don't get it,
or even on first watch.
Yeah, sometimes you don't understand it, and that's why I'm looking so forward to watching The Substance again.
Yeah, because see
there's
even
gonna
more.
be so, even though it's a very like blunt movie, there's just so many other aspects that, but anyway, I don't have to keep talking about that, but it's just like, I know, it's just, especially when a movie is like good or something, like I'd love to watch Hereditary again.
Yeah, I agree. That was a hard watch.
It
the
was
first time,
and then to like see it now would be really
especially like for you from like a mom's perspective too, because that was a lot of the grief that was in there, and then just like that struggle,
and like your other kid, like, oh my, like I can't even like comprehend it now, but that'd be like another movie. It'd be interesting to watch now that I'm an adult.
That movie was so squirmy, like it made me feel like
icky, gross.
I know. Oh God, but, that was good though. That was a good one.
I know. I'd love to watch that now.
I know. Complete pivot from a horror film, but did you see any trailer for that movie with Aubrey Plaza, My Old Ass? Okay, well, I want to talk about how they have rebranded this film because I saw a trailer for it. I can't remember if it was on a YouTube ad or a TikTok ad, but either way, it was an ad that I could not skip. And I saw it, I want to say maybe a month and a half to 2 months ago. And it was fully branded. Both of us are like sinking into the couch so bad today. It was fully branded as kind of like I would say like a Seth Rogen comedy.
Right. Or like this. Yeah. Like a kind of, now they're kind of like doing the coming of age thing.
So the first trailer I saw was literally like, the young girl like gets high, and then she's with the old version of herself, Aubrey Plaza, and then it's like, oh man, like all these crazy things, and we're so like goofy and funny together. And then now the trailer that I just recently saw, like completely revamped. Yes, full of heart. It's a coming of age story of like, no, look what your older self can teach you, and like life doesn't always turn out how you want. I know, but I just found that interesting because from reading Ed Zwick's book too, how they talked about where they would like do the little screening to people, and then they'd realize like, oh, these things the people didn't like, and we need to go back to the cutting board and edit things, whatever. I mean, was that like this where like it didn't test as well as they hoped,
or they went into thinking it was something, and then when they're like, no, why didn't you advertise it like this? Because this is better. I know. I always find that really fascinating.
I mean, because it literally, like, I was like,
ruin movies.
Well, it was just, I was questioning what I even knew about the movie, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this seems dumb,
Right.
you know? And then now it's kind of been fully rebranded and people are like, oh, Aubrey Plaza is so good and this seems like such a great movie and like, you can't miss this. And I'm just like,
Huh?
why did we flip the script here? Like,
I know.
what actually is this film? But I mean, that is not uncommon, like where the trailer is completely different from
the movie.
film.
I know. So I haven't even like a movie I really want to see. I haven't been doing trailers anymore because they're either giving too much away or it's like not what I want to know.
Or it turns you off, kind of. Or then the ones that seem really good, sometimes they actually aren't because all the major points were just shown in the trailer.
Right. It's like the classic Jennifer's Body problem.
I know.
Or even like, I think it's interesting. When they put out, I don't know if they really do this as much anymore, but when they do like the limited release and then if that does good, then they keep like putting it out.
I don't know if they do that either. No.
I know, but it almost seems like that, like letting the movie speak for itself, I think could really work.
And letting it, I mean, I guess that could be when they do the film festivals, you know, like so many times it's like they bring it to Cannes or whatever and then it's like, oh, it did amazing there, and so
let's give it a full release.
But I don't know, I think the landscape of the film festivals is kind of changing too, because recently it seems like there's been like random movies that maybe shouldn't even be released in a film festival that get released there. Or then we have the whole trope of the like 12-minute standing ovation, and then it comes like Joker got like an 8-minute ovation or something, and then we've heard like negative reviews for that movie.
And I don't know if you get like this crazy sophisticated high when you're at these
and you're just things, you feel like, this compelled. Is the best thing.
You're sitting there with the actresses or the actors and stuff in there with you.
I know,
you,
they're watching like, it at the same time, and you just feel it's like you literally can't help but clap for a minimum of 10 minutes.
Or like you're just so like in the moment that it's just happening. It's like transcends
reality. I wonder, they must have a person that's like in the corner that's like, and
I know, like how do they know how long it is? Like
there's gotta be timing it.
Literally.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I know, I don't know, it's fascinating, but it doesn't, I'm worried about the film industry.
I know.
Or like there's no promotion at all. Like we talked about the Uglies last week. It was like
nothing. Yeah.
It's like, I heard they were making one and then all of a sudden there it was.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing they're saying about like Apple TV too. Like they promote literally nothing. So it's like, I can't remember exactly the show, but they're like, there's a show with like these 3 big actors, and the reason why you don't know anything about it and it's dropping next week is that it's on Apple TV. It's like, do they feel like they're so big that they don't need to promote at all?
I just feel like that would be like frustrating as people involved with it.
Even when the movies are going to theaters, it's like the same thing, because there's some things where I drive by and see it on the marquee, like, and that's the first time I know that it's out.
I know. And I just seen that my movie theater, they're starting to do some of the like older movies.
That's cool, because we just talked about that.
I know. Well, they're gonna do Whiplash.
Okay.
And then they were
that was a good movie.
That was that's real. I was looking that on Letterboxd, and that one's really high rated.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great one. Why don't we talk about it anymore? And then through October they were gonna do Nightmare Before Christmas screenings.
A classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that more places should do that, and even older get people cinema back in the theater. Cinema,
like get them back in the theater. You know, they don't want to see. Not everybody wants to see the next Marvel movie.
Well, and if they do those, I mean, you know, if it's an older film, I don't think it. I don't know. I'm speculating here, but I would think it wouldn't cost as much to bring to the theater as it does a newer one. Like, discount the tickets, right? You know, I mean, you could still make a profit, but like make them $5 or something, right? And then people are probably going to be more likely to go.
I know, especially if it's like turning my mic off. Especially if it's like one of those good movies that like came out, you know?
Yeah, like 15 years ago or even more than that. Or like they should do like in a lead up to like Oscars and stuff. They should do like former Oscar films.
Yeah.
Like that would be fun.
That would. Like, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
Hello.
Maybe we just on the marketing team. Yeah. Let's open a theater. That'll be lucrative.
The podcast isn't working, so let's do that. We'll just keep trying things.
This doesn't work. The theater definitely will. That's like us opening like or starting a magazine. Like, let's get all the dying industries.
Why not? I was listening to because that Adam Brody was on.
Oh yeah,
Dag Shepard. Did you listen?
I didn't listen. I saw a clip of him talking about Leighton Meester.
I know. That's why I wanted to hear it. He's kind of a goober.
Yeah,
he kind of reminds me like he is Seth.
He is Seth. I know. I've always felt like
he's
that.
like a little turd. Like he's like real. But he was talking about how he took his son to the Ren Festival.
He did.
So
he's just like us.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what the?
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
I think he was on Penn Badgley's podcast too.
Oh, I bet he was.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
He's
been on
tour.
Rachel Bilson's
because he has that movie coming out.
Or the show.
Oh, is it a show?
I was kind of confused about it, but it's a show.
Kristen
Bell. And first of all, Kristen Bell. How many show? And I've heard that the show's actually really good.
I know, I did too. I saw a little clip of it. I was surprised.
I know, I'm kind of curious about it. But how many good shows do you need, Kristen? You had Veronica Mars, you had The Good Place. You're just like, let's do this.
She just needs them at different times in her life.
I know. It's like, dang, how many successful shows do you need to be on?
This one, I mean, I suppose they could do multiple seasons, but it kind of seems like it might just be a one and done.
Well, she said that hopeful, like they haven't heard anything about a second one, but they're like, hopefully we'll get to like have you in our life for a couple of years.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see it and judge.
She was so kept like, because you know how Dag Shepard and Kristen Bell are like so like,
yeah,
they don't care if the other one's making out with the other one.
Yeah, they literally
and so she kept going on and on about Adam Brody, and she's like, do you just have this special thing where you can just like look somebody in the eye? And she's like, there was this time where we were doing this kiss and all these people were watching, and you just grabbed my face and looked in my eye, and then we kissed, and it was so, I mean, you couldn't even recreate how magical this was, and everyone felt like it was so magical.
Just they're like, wow.
Literally, he goes, when I was watching, he goes, there's a point where I was like, I want you guys to kiss. And the whole time, I mean, she kept going on and on and on. And Adam Brody like was like, yeah, like, I don't know, like you could tell he was like
uncomfortable.
I don't know.
Like, aren't you too married?
Or like he was probably like, I'm married. And you're like,
I love Leighton so much.
Like, it was kind of like funny. So it was pretty funny. And then like Dax tries to get people like he likes to stir the pot.
That's the reason why I don't really like listening to this podcast sometimes.
It
depends on the guest.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the person's like good about that kind of stuff, but then it's not putting people in hot water.
Yeah,
and
I know.
There was a point where Adam Brody was like, okay, let's just not go there. He's like, let's not get everyone all riled up or whatever. But it was funny. But him and Kristen Bell were funny together. And apparently they've worked together like a ton.
I wouldn't really think that they would have good chemistry. No. But it kind of seems like they do.
Yeah. And they've worked together a bunch of times and have just like known each other. And then she's like, I was in your apartment, but you weren't there back in the day because I was with Rachel Bilson and blah, blah, blah. And it was just kind of like funny. I don't know.
They like weirdly go back a long time.
They're from like that same
era. The time period. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but it was just funny, and I was like, oh, took a son to a Ren Festival.
I know.
Love that.
Next year, that could be us. Taking our son to the Ren Festival.
You can take two of them. You can have one.
Okay.
And then I'll have the other.
We'll dress them up.
Yes. But
That would
anyway,
be so
I
funny.
know.
Hey, I mean, if it all goes well, maybe
know.
we could take them to the Michigan one.
I know, which is a little closer.
I know, yeah.
But I don't know if it's as good as this one.
I know that's
This one's
true.
pretty raved about.
That's true. That's true.
So, but it still looks like it had its own like little like village thing.
Yeah, I know somebody who went there, but I think ours is gonna be better.
I know, and every time I tell somebody that we're going, they say, "Oh, the one in Michigan." I'm like, "No,
The real one,
the
the
really good
official
one."
Ohio Renaissance Festival.
Yeah. So,
Hello. Just to, I guess, well, the whole thing is us talking about movies and television, but I did watch the first episode of Salt Lake City. I mean, I think it's gonna be a decent season. I don't really like because they brought 2 new people in, and I just kind of feel like it was kind of forced. Like after all,
they don't know each other.
Yeah, well, the one is a friend.
Yeah, that's
alleged friend. Who knows how close they actually are. But I just kind of feel like after all the drama with Monica, they should have just had it be them.
Yeah, and like the fallout.
Yeah, just do one season with just them and then think about adding new people. And it's weird too because like so much is about like the aftermath of the Monica stuff, but they kind of don't even want to bring it up or talk about it. Or maybe they're like technically not even allowed to. Like, I don't know. So a lot of it is just alluding to. But Lisa Barlow is getting a little heated in this first episode, which I'm really back and forth on Lisa. Like we kind of, I think, off.
I want to like her, but then I don't.
Well, sometimes I just think that she has a bad attitude about stuff.
Yeah, she does.
Or like she thinks of herself so highly, which there's nothing wrong with thinking good about yourself. But sometimes I think that clouds her judgment.
Right.
And I don't always love that. But yeah, Meredith is being dramatic as ever, and I just love Meredith.
I know. I like to look at her.
I know.
I like to. I don't know. There's something about her. Like you want that. Like she's a fake friend, but she's like always nice.
I know.
To you,
but then
and
she's like also a closet like real friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Like she just, I don't know. There's something about her.
Yeah. She's been all over on Instagram.
I know, I've seen that a little bit too.
She's literally going all over the place looking fabulous. That's the other thing about
kids are fabulous.
I know. That's the other thing about Salt Lake City though. Like the fashion I think is so out of pocket. I mean, the one new girl on there, Bronwyn, which like what kind of a name is that? And then she was on not this lady, but the name Bronwyn was on another franchise.
It was.
I can't remember which one that was.
It might have been, was it OC?
It might have. That might have been that might have been a season I skipped. But yeah, she is so. I mean, she's like 36 and her husband's like 65 or something insane, and she just wears the most outlandish outfits.
I know, and you know, like, and we've been kind of noticing that, you know, in like all the housewives, it gets to the point where it really is distracting.
I know, and you know what? I'm sorry. You can be dressed head to toe in designer. That doesn't mean that you have style or taste or that you look good.
I know. And it's like you live somewhere that's like colder and it's like they usually film during.
Yes.
It's like it's fine to wear a sweater and jeans.
I know. And just kind of be normal. The one, so the first kind of big scene is like Lisa Barlow's having this party and it's around Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day. So they're all kind of dressed in like pinks and reds,
like
whatever.
From fully last year Valentine's Day. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang. So like a year and almost or like a year and a half ago.
Or would it have been this past February?
I don't know. Do you think they would have put it out
around
already?
that fast?
Because I was even thinking that with the OC this year. I was like, oh, this is like a long time ago.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was cold. But so she comes in this heart like fur coat that was Saint Laurent. And she's like, there's only 3 that have been made. Rihanna has one, I have one, and another one's in a museum. Which, come to find out, that doesn't appear to be true because they were.
I'm sure someone told her that.
Yeah. And then, so that was like, okay, right? Like you're in a fur, it's cold outside. That makes sense. Then they flash because they did an interesting thing where they're like introducing them or talking about things. And then they do like a flashback to things that were filmed, but that they didn't make a whole episode. So they flashed back to where she and Lisa had like lunch or something. They literally put on the screen that it was like 36 degrees. I don't know what designer it was. It didn't say. Matching set of hot pants, a like crop bralette top with a puffer jacket over it. This god awful, like literally yellow, like leopard or cheetah print. It looked so bad.
Well, and it's like,
and it's freezing.
I know. I was going to say, as people who live in an area that is quite cold at times, no.
I mean, and I fully, especially in the college days, we're like,
right,
we're not going to bring a coat, but we weren't wearing hot pants.
I know, or like if you're going out, but if you're going to party,
in that scene, she was literally going to lunch with Lisa,
like,
and it was literally just her and Lisa.
Like that takes me out of the scene. Like
I know,
you're too much for the camera. Your whole like
that's exactly what I think.
makeup.
And it's one thing to be kind of quirky,
right?
But to just be that extravagant, and I'm not saying you can't have fun with fashion, like you absolutely can,
right?
But
it's like you are on a show, but it's like I rather look like more normal than like over the top.
Well, and I think for the Salt Lake, in my opinion, I think it makes them look actually kind of trashy.
Like it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't, we kind of said last week, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it every week and keep up, or if I'll kind of wait and watch like 2 in 1 week or something. But it was good. I think if I compared it to this week's episode of OC, it was like a 10 out of 10. I thought this episode was kind of lame.
It was. Or I didn't get what was happening, why everyone was so dang mad.
Me either. And there just wasn't really a lot going on, and I thought it was a dud. Do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up before we just move into that?
The only thing I was gonna bring up was I was watching this video of this guy. I guess he was a drama channel, and I did not remember who he was, or I've never watched his videos. But he went to a canceled podcast show, like a new one.
Oh yeah,
since Brooke's been canceled or whatever, and he was talking about it a little bit.
Because Brooke is back, right?
Yeah. And they were talking. Well, I felt like he was being kind of annoying. He's like, the venue was so gross.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, it's an old theater.
Yeah.
Like they're not
going
to
be.
What are you
expecting?
And then he was like, and a bunch of old ladies were like working there. I'm like, those are the volunteer. Any theater you go to, there's going to be old ladies volunteering, like, helping you to your seat.
Snob.
I know. I was like, they're retired, and it's like because they volunteer, these theaters can stay open.
Right.
Like, so that was annoying me.
How do you know that they don't like cancel?
Yeah, it's like, shut up. Like I was just like,
that's
like the nitpicky. I know, and it was so nitpicky. I'm like, have you never been in a theater before?
Yeah.
But then he was like, well, Brooke didn't even really like talk. Obviously, she didn't really talk. Like, what
she might as well stand behind the scenes.
Literally, it's like, because, okay. I don't know. I was just getting annoyed. But the one thing he did say that I don't think I brought up when I said I went to the show was how snotty the girls were that were there.
Oh, like the audience?
They were like, I'm like, okay. That's interesting that you also had that experience. Not that anyone was particularly mean to me, but they were,
you could tell the vibe.
Yeah, I was like, but I just wanted to bring that up. I'm like, that is in fact true.
Yeah, you experienced it yourself. I just keep looking at our battery on my laptop because I have my charger, but it just wasn't all the way. I just don't know what the move should be for Brooke here. Like, I was surprised to see that she was back on tour. I was
surprised they were going to do the tour, but I almost think, I know, there's just kind of like no winning on it, because I was like, well, maybe Tana could do it and then have like friends come, like Jeff. I know Jeff Whittick has come, but I like do him one show, and then especially if she was doing most of the talking.
Yeah,
anyway.
I know. That's what I kind of was thinking too. Like, is she just kind of being quiet and like laughing or adding in like a remark or two?
And he acted like she shouldn't, like, she wasn't even doing anything and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, when I went, she was a little quieter, but then she like warmed up and stuff. But it's like, it would be weird though too to know like mostly everyone's there for Tana.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of her fan base. And
and now most of the people probably don't like you.
I know. And that's the thing too. It was just kind of like,
I guess I don't even know. I mean, if I were her, I don't know. On one hand, I would want to do it because, I mean, she's probably getting paid to do that. But on the other hand, I'd be very just weary.
I know, or like any like little joke.
Yeah, I'd be nervous. Yeah,
out of context. I know. And then it was like, I saw Tana. She's like, I was packing, and literally all Brooke brought were like t-shirts and jeans, like little stuff. I'm like, yeah, because if she wears some like over the top cutesy or like it's like distracting, and people are gonna nitpick that. And it's almost like, isn't that interesting how you like, are you even sorry in your apology video if you have makeup on?
I know.
You know, like you have to look like
you were just like so upset.
Yeah. Or like you can't wear anything too crazy because you can't be trying to stand out
to
after what you've done.
Yeah, that no one's really gonna remember. Yeah,
it's just interesting. Like,
and that shifts our perception.
It does.
Like if she came and apologized with like a full face of makeup and like a going out dress, we'd be like,
what? Why is she wearing that?
This isn't even genuine.
But then they're like, oh, look at her sitting there with no makeup on.
I know,
it's
damned
like,
if you do, damned if you don't.
Literally, like the amount of like that being like the norm for the apology videos. Like I remember James Charles, like the no makeup, the sweatshirt. It's like, it's just so...
It's the trope now.
It's like
it's the uniform.
Literally.
Apology video
you
uniform.
You can't wear hot pink if you're sorry.
No,
you can only wear
blacks,
gray.
grays, or whites. No, not even white, because that's too virginal.
Yeah.
And you did a bad thing.
It's just funny. But anyway, that's all I had to say. I'm like, yeah, that is a fact.
Good thing you saw that before.
They can't. I know. I wonder, like,
how could you ever have had that foresight? Well, I mean, I think we probably should all have that foresight about pretty much everybody.
Everybody has racist tweets.
Except for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We never even used Twitter.
No. It's long gone.
Yeah. But anyway, well, you know, if to transition to the worst episode of OC this season, in my opinion, it was just, I just thought it was like bad from start to finish. Like it was basically a dud filler episode. The content in it was just kind of dumb. The fights were dumb.
Yeah.
And then it just left me feeling kind of like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like the behavior of Emily was just so
wild.
Yeah, gross to me. I didn't like it.
I know, like it was just full of projections.
Yeah. And it just, I don't know. I mean, we'll get to it, but I don't know if like alcohol was a factor or there's something else going on in her life, or if it was just literally her emotion because of, you know, like her weight loss journey. But it was just so insane to watch. Like she was the one that was completely unhinged and just being mean, like such a mean girl. I just don't like that. But it kind of starts with Shannon and Gina talking about the Vicky and Shannon show and how they're basically, they had to like, they had an LLC and they had merch and they had to start all over, which that's legitimate. I mean, I know that it
that
is.
is like, even just when we were talking about the Tana thing, it's like when you it's like, I could see why people just want to do stuff by themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to put your faith in somebody else and hope they don't screw up.
I know.
Because it's going to affect you.
I know. I mean, imagine if like one of us did something horrible.
I know, like this unhinged thing, and then it's like we're all
keep
suffering.
going with the pod?
I know, like, and then it's like weird too, because I know in this situation they are friends but not friends, but it's like, if you are in that situation, you're still that person's friend, and you don't believe that one action is their true,
right?
Whatever. It's like, what do you do?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was valid. It was just funny to hear Shannon like talking about it. And then we get a little sneak peek of the Jen and Dawson thing, where Jen said,
whenever I look at Dawson, I'm like, that's her old face.
I know, me too. I was thinking that.
I could literally, I'm like, that's her. My husband was sitting there. I'm like, that's her old face.
I know. Like, Gina really did have a dramatic transformation. And I mean, we've talked about this before, but like, anytime I see like a celebrity baby or then a celebrity like teen or something, I'm like, yeah, you don't even look like your parent.
I know, because your parent doesn't look like your parent anymore.
And then that makes me sad, because then, if like, say a grandparent or something is like, you look just like your mom. It's like, but my mom didn't think she was pretty, and she got all this work
I know.
done.
I remember even on Jersey Shore Family Vacation or whatever, I think it was Vinny was like, they look like old Snooki and old JWoww, like their daughters. And it's like,
I know, it's kind of sad.
It is sad. And I think like in the moment when you make those decisions, you're not thinking about that. But that's gotta be such a confusing thing for a child. Like, I don't know if like, I don't look a ton like my mom or whatever, but it's like if my mom like had gotten all this work done and I looked like her, and then people would say like, oh, you still look like your mom, I'd be like,
it'd be a weird identity thing. Yeah. And then, it'd make you even more self-conscious.
I know. You're like, well, you thought you were so screwed up looking, and now I should.
Done. I know. But who was that there? It was Jen, Katie, and who was the other person that was at the lunch?
I think it was Emily.
Emily? Okay. Oh, yeah, it was. You're right. And then this is where Jen was kind of just like bringing up, hey, I've been having some issues with Dawson, which she kind of talked about before. But this is typical spoiled child turned divorce or child of divorce.
I know.
He is totally, which it comes up a little later, but he's totally manipulating the situation.
Like, I'm gonna go live with dad because I need privacy.
Yeah, trying to like pit the parents against each other. But then I was also
kind of like, when she's like, well, do you not like Ryan? Like, that is kind of like a weird situation to be in when you're like with your parents' other person.
I literally just thought about that today, because
that would be like
it would be I don't know,
so confusing.
But I was around somebody who, it was like a blended family where the like dad is still like alive and stuff, but then the mom ended up, they got a divorce, and then now she's remarried, and you could tell that like this kid had like a real, like more of a connection with the mom, and then the stepdad is like very like domineering, and I'm just like,
this isn't gonna go well.
I just wonder, like, does he feel like he's walking on eggshells? Does he feel like comfortable like, it just was really clearly he's very comfortable with mom, but is he comfortable with
this new person?
And I think that would be really,
like,
especially in this situation with Jen, because it's just a mess,
and it's like, that's the person she left his dad for,
and now they're fully financially like he's financially responsible for the whole
I know.
family. They're living in his house. I mean, it's not like it's a casual boyfriend.
Right. Like it's I know. So part of me was kind of like,
I get a little bit of it.
I know, but it was still just a weird, like, icky thing. Well,
but that's the thing. When she brought it up, she's like, well, I've got to start setting some boundaries. I'm like, he's 17. It's a little late for that.
Well,
I'm
and
sorry.
then it's kind of like, exactly. It's like, okay, well, no, you're not going to go. And I think technically you are allowed to be like, I want to live with one parent.
Yeah, I think you can.
But I think at the same time, like, no, you can do this and this. Like, why are you getting to dictate your senior year of school?
Oh, I'm curfew's at 9, but I'm getting home at midnight.
Right.
What are you doing out at midnight or later?
Or like, let's sit down and talk about like what we all think is reasonable here. It just
like, I want to be involved in your life. You're too overbearing. Like, what? For like worrying about you?
No, like it was he knows his mom's a pushover.
Oh, 100%. Because she has been, which, and again, it tracks totally with, probably how Jen was raised, how she feels she should be a mother, how she was definitely taken care of. And so she just completely took care of the kids, maybe a little too much.
Again, this conversation should not have been happening on camera.
No,
that's
with
crazy.
Her and Dawson.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
I know. Well, I almost felt, this is what makes me wonder a little bit about the kids, and we said this about Katie's daughter, Kylie. Like, she almost felt too comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah, it was because that's the way they live now.
I know.
Like, yeah, I gotta talk about how like hard my life is, because that's what like the young people are so obsessed with doing right now. It's like their
they've
traumas.
Already made TikToks about it.
Yeah, like they want to talk about their traumas, and it's like, yeah, they want everyone to hear their traumas on TV.
So, yeah, I just thought that whole conversation was ridiculous. I mean, we can just fully talk about it now with Dawson, too. And he's like, at Dad's, I just, he gets me. Mm-hmm. And there's just like rules that work for me.
Right.
It's like, oh, what a perfect
life.
Okay. Like, what does that mean? Your dad like doesn't care.
You get to eat pizza every night, I guess.
Yeah, ice cream for breakfast. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. It's
like, oh yeah, was your dad telling you all those things to try to pitch you again? It's like, come on, dude.
I know. Oh, then we move to them talking about the extortion thing. And here's the thing I thought about that. Obviously, yes, it's gross. Like, what's going on is, it's shady for sure. But when they read the definition of extortion, of like releasing somebody's secret or like threatening to release it, I didn't personally feel like what is happening here fit into that category for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is kind of related to a crime that occurred. And second of all, it's like, this isn't a secret. Like, now we know actually Katie's the one that like brought it up and told us what it was on camera.
I know.
And it was like ring footage that belongs to him. You know what I mean? It's not like a secret that...
And for that matter, no one's seen it.
Yeah, no one has still seen it. So I don't think that it's right.
No, it's not cool, especially because that stuff is being brought up on camera.
Yeah. But I don't know if it technically is extortion. It just kind of
reminds me a little bit of the Rachel thing. Yes. It's like, but we haven't seen it. And to me, as like, if I was a public figure, that would be more my issue.
Yeah, I agree. Then we kind of move into Emily talking about how she was feeling about the dress. I think this was still at the lunch with Katie and Jen. And like we said last week, she was fully projecting on Heather with her own insecurities, which I understand. Like, I literally get that. It's hard to not feel like you're the same as these other ladies who are like super thin and tall and whatever,
Right.
and you have a different body type. I get that. But then when she's like, they showed the little clips of her in the dress and Alexis in the dress, and Emily's like, I looked like I was going to court. I'm like, it was the exact same dress that Alexis had. It looks the same on Alexis, except you're curvier.
Right.
Like, I did not see a difference.
No.
So I didn't like that. And then obviously it just explodes later on. We see clips of Heather at the GLAAD Awards, and Meredith Marks makes an appearance there looking fab. And then Katie and Tamara go candle making with their children, which this just felt very forced to me.
Yes.
And I don't know. Do the girls want to be on camera? Do they not? Like, I don't know.
Or going to like a parent date.
Yeah.
With on camera is just awkward.
I
and
know.
Those are always awkward.
And they're trying to be like, you have so much in common, which
do we?
Maybe they do in theory, but they don't seem like they would actually be friends if they were just in the wild.
How many people have you like met that on paper it's like we should be best friends, but we aren't?
Right, I know. I did find it interesting how, you know how what was that a couple weeks ago where Vicky was saying like she was slamming Tamra in the press for talking, or the reason why her other daughter doesn't talk to her is because she was bashing Simon so much. Right. Well, I found it interesting how now in this episode, she just goes and bashes Simon and it's like, he wasn't a good dad. Whereas in a previous episode this season, she was like, I feel so bad for Simon because he has a kid that won't speak to him either. I'm like, which one is it?
Depends on what mood she's in.
Like, I just thought that was really weird, especially if that is some of the reason why there's a issue with her kids. Like, why would you talk about that on camera? Like, come on, Tamara. It's just so ridiculous. Then we get a little peek at the Vicky and Shannon show. And of course, we see Shannon ordering a vodka soda. And then they take a shot on stage and we hear Shannon say, just a sip. It's like, again, just stop drinking on the show.
Literally.
Please.
I know.
And if you're going to do it, don't let it be filmed.
Literally.
Like, come on. And then basically then we get to the end where Alexis gets she's kind of weird when she comes to that party.
I know, she's very frazzled.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe something happened right before she got there.
Right.
But she clearly was thrown off and she was acting odd. I will give them that. But then she's just like, it's just really hard. And I thought it was valid and kind of real where she said, John and I shouldn't have met now.
Yeah.
Like, we should have met 6 months later. Like, right. And I mean, honestly, like, if that did happen, I think that would have been a game changer for their relationship. I
know, instead, like, still in the aftermath of the breakup with Shannon.
Yeah, and maybe some of this drama wouldn't be
happening.
Yeah. But then from that, we basically get Emily being the absolute terror.
I know.
Of this
and
event.
Like, and some of this stuff, I'm like, must be the editing or what? Because it was like they were talking and then Emily just goes, and I needed to talk to you about something. And I was like, where on earth did that come from?
Yeah, it was so random. And if she's really wanted to...
she's been stewing on it.
She has been. But if she really wanted to talk to Heather about it for real, she would have pulled her aside. They would have had a little lunch and they could have hashed it out. But no. She wanted her moment and she completely, like, it spiraled out of control. Like, I don't know if...
Well, she even came in with bad attitude. She said something that she's like, well, that's why I'm wearing jeans.
Like, what? Okay. Like,
does nothing else fit?
I literally thought that she looked amazing in everything that she had on in the fashion show.
And then it's tough because it's like we never see ourselves the way other people see us. So it's like it's hard to be like.
And it is valid. I get it. I get the insecurity.
Right.
I totally understand
why can't you see what we see?
Yeah.
Emily?
And I get that if you're next to Tamra, who's like 5'0" and 100 pounds, like, yeah, that's gonna. Any of us would feel some type of way, but it was just total projection, and she really should have just like cried in the bathroom and then talked to Heather privately and been done with it. Or if
Heather triggers you because of the way she looks, then maybe you shouldn't be around her.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's that too. I did feel like Heather, I mean, I thought that she did apologize.
You know, she's like, I'm hearing what you're saying. I didn't know you felt that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was never my intention.
Yeah.
And then even at one point, like Gina says, yeah, she's saying all the right things, but okay, but what? Like, you're not hearing them?
I know.
Like,
and then it's like, what are we supposed to do now? It's like, that's not Heather, that's not a problem for her.
No,
you know? Like,
and it really, I think it was a no-win situation.
No, because it's supposed to. I tell you, you're gorgeous all the time.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I don't know.
And she couldn't let it go.
No, that was the problem.
I know. And then Heather, I think after the hell she went through last season, first of all, she doesn't deserve any of this. Second of all, I think she's just like, I'm refusing to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I am not going to go there. I'm not going to apologize a million times.
Right.
Because she shouldn't have to. And like, Emily just got mad about that. And it's like, well, nobody wants to keep having the same conversation over and over and over with somebody who's clearly heated and not listening.
Right. And it's like, Heather was validating your feelings. It's like, what else can you do?
Yeah, what more do you want? So it was just really and it all started from that stupid Jenga game that they had to play. Emily ends up kind of weirdly bringing in Alexis to it, which makes Alexis feel some type of way, and then she spirals out of control about Alexis and was just being mean. Like,
I know, it's like, how was Alexis, when Alexis is the first time she's hearing about your body insecurities, and then you put me next to Alexis when she thinks everyone hates her.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, yeah, it's like, we get that Emily didn't mean it like that, but how is Alexis supposed to know that she meant it like that?
And even if it was said in the exact perfect way, it's still the perception of it was probably always going to be different for Alexis, because she already feels
that they don't want her here. Yeah, and that everyone's mad at her.
Yeah. So I understood, and she was already feeling some type of way anyway.
Right.
And then this was just like the icing on the cake. She's like, I don't need this right now. I don't need to be brought in. This isn't even my thing. And then Emily's like, shut up. And I just don't like when somebody just yells and screams.
And then she's like, why are you even talking?
Yeah.
It's like, because you brought her up.
Right, you literally brought her into it. And you're not
explaining to, like the other girls tried to explain it to Alexis, but it was like, you're not explaining yourself.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just, multiple people tried to kind of calm her down, and it just was not working, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And honestly, like, this whole season, like I said at the top of this.
Sorry.
Yeah, what?
Just one thing. This was Jen's house, right?
Yeah. Well, Ryan's.
That was a nice house.
Well, I think more's going to come out about that with Ryan.
Like, because I'm like, oh, we're at Jen's house. And I'm like, why was I expecting her to live in a shack?
Yeah, because she lives with Ryan now. And anyway. Ryan is maybe involved in some shady dealings. But, yeah, like Gina tried to calm her down. It wasn't happening. Like, they tried to validate her even more. It wasn't working. She just was all riled up. And it's honestly disappointing to me, because as a whole, like, I did like Emily, but this season is really making her not
I know
like
she's
her.
poor shaming people.
Yeah.
She's
like every episode, it's something mean, like not even funny. It's just straight up mean.
It's not like I guess in my head I wanted her to be like Khloe Kardashian.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
At all.
I mean, even when they went out to that lunch with Jen and she paid, and in the confessional, right there, she made a comment. And then in the comment or in the confessional, it's like, come on.
I know. Well, and then I thought that Watch It Crappens kind of brought up a good point with Emily where they were like, you know, like you make a lot of like, oh, like you're like, I'm fine with my weight, body positivity. And then you lose the weight or whatever. And now you're kind of like flipping out on people about that same situation. And it's like, what are you? I don't know. It was just kind of like weird.
But at the end of the day, it just still is a lose-lose because
I know
if you are sensitive to somebody's weight, then like, and they're heavier, then you're being overly sensitive and you're shaming them in that way because they're fat and you have sympathy for them. But if you don't do it, then you don't care about them because they're just fat, you know?
Right. It's like
it's totally a double-edged sword.
Right. And then it's like if you make your shtick, oh, I'm just eating, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then you come screaming and yelling at somebody because you're feeling insecure. It's just like kind of a weird.
How do you expect people to act?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I didn't know you felt that way. Any other time you're laughing about stuff, but then it's like, then you're acknowledging too that you did it on purpose. And so it's like, it really is just like, I don't even know. It's just such an awkward.
Well, I hated the comment that got plucked from this episode where Emily had said that the dress was a size 12, which I don't think there's anything wrong with being a size 12, first of all. Second of all, a size 12 looks different in every single brand. Yeah, and on every body type.
It's like a size 12 is going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, but she's like making a big deal about that, saying that the dress didn't even fit her, which I thought it fit perfectly. Right. And then Heather was saying, they like juxtaposed that with Heather being like, you know what? It was tight on Emily, as if she was trying to say like, yeah, she's fat and it was tight. When that I don't think is what she meant at all. She meant it fit her. It was form fitting. Wasn't this
loose?
Yeah, like Emily made it seem like that was insane to me. Like, did they alter it behind the scenes? Because it looked perfect on you. But like, if you sent, like if I sent my measurements somewhere, if I sent it to 3 different places, they would send me back 3 different sizes. So I just felt like you don't even look at this as if it's a size. Look at it as made to measure. This is custom made.
And it was kind of like, I know like our insecurities follow us through the years and stuff, but I'm like, I hope I'm not at that point and still getting like this.
Well, so much so where you have to
be mad at everyone.
And have that
like
kind
at
of
that point.
reaction.
It's like you're always going to have like insecurities, but to like flip out.
Yeah, I mean, I could see myself having that insecurity and crying in the dressing room, but then I'd pull it together and
not scream and yell at somebody over this. I'm like, I hope I'm not at that point where I'm doing that.
I know her reaction was just completely just unacceptable. Like, it's indefensible, I thought, how she was acting. And then she's like to Heather, don't look at me like that.
She's like, what are you looking at? And she's like, I'm upset.
Yeah, I'm allowed to look at you and be disappointed and sad.
Right.
You just screamed at my face for the last 10 minutes. Like, yeah, I didn't like that. I'm not liking Emily, and I don't know if something else is going on with her, but like, this just to me was just,
I know,
it's
it
not
just
painting
gets
her
to a
really.
point where like you can't blame others for your own insecurities or your own triggers.
Yeah, you
like I don't know.
can't.
It's like if somebody's smaller than you, then stop looking at them, I guess. Like if you're gonna get this upset.
I mean, but what could Heather have said?
Nothing.
I mean, what did Emily want her to say?
She wanted Heather to say something mean to her about her looks because that would have
validated her insecurity.
Right. And that would have gave her like, yes, I'm allowed to be mad at you because you said this about me.
Yeah. And it was like, do you really think that Heather is that vindictive that she planned this entire thing? I love how Tamara was like, I might do that. But I'm like, okay, yeah, because you're like evil. The devil incarnate.
Which is literally the devil.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. I really didn't like that. I just stopped watching that episode and I was just like shaking my head like, wow, like that was so mean, girl. And if my friend did that to me, they would not be my friend anymore.
I know, like you don't just get to fly off the handle screaming.
No, especially in public in front of people like that.
Yes.
Like that was insane. And then poor Jen, like that's at Ryan's house and that was rude to do at a party like that.
And then what are you supposed to do? That wrecks the night.
Yeah.
When people fly off the handle like that, it wrecks.
And then poor
night.
Gina, the worst thing about those situations for the person that was acting unhitched. Well, yeah, rode with you. Gina had to face the wrath in the freaking black car on the way home. But it's like, you know that all the people that are left at the party are talking about what just happened. Exactly. So why do you even put yourself in that situation? I mean, I hate to even think about that on a day-to-day basis with things that I
walk
say.
Out of the room.
Yeah. But like, if I do something that unhinged and then leave, like, you know, people are just they're not even like bashing you, they're just like horrified at what just happened.
Right.
So yeah, I don't even remember what was coming up for the next episode. I think I was in such shock that I blacked out when the preview came on. But anyway, I felt like there was one other thing that I wanted to say, like in conjunction with OC News. Oh, it was the fact that Alexis put that statement out on her Instagram about like what's real and what's not. And I just wanted to say that I heard people saying like, this is breaking the fourth wall. The fourth wall's gone. The fourth wall, I think, in reality doesn't even exist anymore because we have so many podcasts, social media, all these things that we've said. Like, I don't even think that we should be acting like, oh, this ruined. No, it doesn't. Like, we're all smart enough now. Like, and Alexis saying that, like we snapped about it before, it made me question, like, have the producers of specifically Housewives always kind of created their own storylines, or is that something in recent years? Because I felt like in the past it seemed more real.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels abusive to like
to
put
us.
these people to like put these people in this situation where you're like half telling their story and like I don't know why they
at the same time when Alexis is like, I'm gonna do a weekly recap, it's like I also don't want that. Like, just save it for the reunion.
It would just be such a strange like thing to like watch something that you're in and be like, that's not true, but then to also see what people are saying about you back from whatever a year ago or something. Like, that's just such a twisted like,
well, especially when you were filmed, and if you think, well, no, I remember filming this scene, they didn't put it in.
We're good with these people, but they said something that really hurt my feelings,
and now you have to rehash it all. I know. Well, any final thoughts to wrap things up here?
Nope.
Next week we're gonna do our book club. So we'll talk about Rebel Wilson's book, Rebel Rising. So be sure to stay tuned for that one. And I'm going to just recommend the movie Dark Waters because it was just really good. It was emotional. It has Mark Ruffalo, which is great. And it's worth watching.
And I'm going to recommend The Substance.
Nice. I can't wait to see it.
Bomb.com.
We'll have to, maybe this coming week, we can do like an evening showing or something.
Oh, so good.
I know. I'm excited. I can't wait. Okay, so make sure that you guys give us those ratings, and if you have extra time, a review, that would really help us. And following us on our like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube would be great. And tell friends. If you are a listener and you're going to the Ohio Renaissance Festival this weekend,
say hi. Maybe you'll get a sticker.
Yeah, we'll be there. So that's exciting. And thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.